Hello everyone. In this video, let's see how to create a basic CRUD application using reactjs. And I will be using mock API for mocking the API responses. Okay. Now this is the response we get from the mock API. Firstly, I will just copy this URL. Now let's go to the application. Let me create one file and name it as constants here. And I will just paste it here. Okay. Now let's create one folder and name it as components. I will just create one file here and name it as CRUD.js, and I will create an arrow function. I am just creating a component here. The component should be the first letter of the component should be the uppercase. That's the rule in React while defining a component. Now I will just export default this component. I will just create a basic tag here saying that this is the CRUD component, and I will just return over. Okay. Now what I am going to do is I will just inject this component in the main app.js. Okay. Now it got imported, and next I will just do npm start cd to do and then npm start so that my application will get started over there. Okay. Let it get started. I will just import some of the important things here. I will just import the use state and use effect from React. So these are the two hooks which are provided by the React library itself. So the use state is for managing the state. The first thing in the use state is the initial state, and the second thing is the state that will be updated. Okay. Now I will just make this as empty array of dependency. Initially there will be empty array. Now use effect is useful for when you are performing the side effects, like when making an API request, you can make use of the use effect. It takes in two parameters. The first one is the array of the callback function, and the second one is the array of dependencies. So if you put an empty array of dependencies, it will be run only at the mounting stage of component. So let me create one function get items. Now I will just create one function known as get items here. Get items. This is arrow function, and I will just make use of Axios, which is a third-party library, which is lightweight for making an API request. So let me do npm install Axios. Meanwhile, it got installed. We can check it in the package.json that it got installed. Okay. Now let me import that. Import Axios from Axios. Now I will just import that URL from the constant parameter import. What did I name it? I haven't exported it. Firstly, I need to export it. Import URL. So if you did not mention it as default, you have to use a curly braces to import it. This import is known as a named import. Whereas if you are using a default import, you need not use this curly braces. You can import directly without making use of curly braces from constants on file. Yeah, here. Yeah. Now it will get imported. Now I will just pass in this URL here. Now I will just since this access function will return a promise, I'm just making use of dot then chaining to capture the result and rejected state. Now I will just firstly do just a console.log. Now what will happen is usually on the mounting stage this function gets called and we will be able to successfully fetch from the server. The get request will be called and then you will be able to capture using the dot then. And you can also make use of the that catch. If some error is thrown, we will be logging the error. Okay. Now let's see what response we are getting here. Now the CRUD component is coming. You can see that it is just sending me the object with the data. So so what I need to do is I just have to put dot then dot data here. So I have to capture this in this set item. Now what happens is if you just console log the item, it will be so this item will get updated with a response from the API. Now you can check that the item and log it, and this is what is the response. So this is how you make use of Axios to fetch from API. Now I will just render these items on the UI. So I'm just going to make use of the map for iterating through that item, which is an array. Map is a method, array method. So you will be able to iterate through it. And I'll just do like a to this. I will just return this with this PD small case. Okay. And then I will just create one paragraph there. Don't worry about the styling part now. I'm just going to do this. Why I'm doing to this dot name is because here we are getting the name property. That's all. Okay. Let me align this using display fix using the inline styling. Okay. Um, Let me add some gap at 5%. Okay. Okay. Now this is centered. Okay. The GET request is completed. Now let's go for the post. Before doing a post, we need to insert an input type of text. Let me do a placeholder and type to the method. Now the text got inserted. I will also be adding a button here itself, like a submit button. Okay, good. Add a break tab over here. Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm planning to do is on changing and clicking on typing the item and also clicking the submit button, it should make the post request and update the API accordingly. So that's my plan next. Now let's create a logic for the create method. Const create item. Okay. Now I'm just wrap this input type text and button inside of the form element. So this is how you handle a form, the React.js, and I'm going to use on submit and then wrap the on submit to the item. So it's going to get an event, and I'm going to put event to prevent default. What it does is it will prevent the default behavior of the browser. For example, if you press on the submit, on the default behavior, there will be a refresh. So the browser will refresh. To avoid that, we are using the prevent default. And also mention the type here as submit. And I'm just going to create a on change here. And it is also going to get an event. And I'm going to create a one use state known as name and event dot target dot value. What it does is it will capture whatever the thing you are typing inside the text box. So I will just create a state here as name, set name, and use state. This will just be a text input type of text. Okay. And event dot prevent default. And then I will just make use of the post request access dot post and URL is already inputted. And then I will be passing the payload. And the post request usually we need to pass the payload here on the post method, and it's going to be name. Name is also name. So because in the schema we have defined that there should be a name, right? So we will be passing a name here. Yeah, name is required, right? It should be string, and this is what we are getting from the state. And then on successfully the promise get resolved. That means unsuccessfully the data get uploaded. We will be again calling the get item method because React is a single page application and you have to somehow re-render to make the data changes visible. Since you cannot, the user cannot press again and again refresh button on the browser. So if you call this get item, so the re-rendering will take place. Now let's test it. What I did is this is set a form tab wrapping inside it. I'm just creating on submit and just capturing whatever you are typing inside of this text box using an on change event. This is how you handle an event. Okay. And this is a create item given default and then access.post. And once the post request is successfully completed, you can maybe set the name again to the like a initial state to an empty string, so that on submitting the text box will be cleared. Now let's test whether it's working or not. Now let me type Vignesh and then submit. You can see that it got submitted successfully. And one more thing, have you noticed that even without entering anything, that also getting submitted? If you add a validation to it, that will be prevented. Now let's implement a logic for the delete part. Now we have already created a delete button here, and I'm just creating an on click here, and then delete handler. Maybe you can pass this entire to do inside of it. You will be getting the ID here, right? You can pass it as event and to this. Okay. Now you can create a function known as delete handler. This takes into parameter. One is event and another one is the entire to do, right? Okay. Now you just have to pass the ID inside of it. Okay. Axios.delete. This is the method, HTTP method, and URL. URL. Maybe you can make use of a template literal. URL slash ID. to-do.id. Or else what you can do is you can do a string here to do. If you go to the method tab and check this to do as the name as well as the ID, it should have the name and the ID, right? I'm just passing this ID. So we'll passing this ID. Once that is done, again I will be calling get items dot catch. If any error is present, we will be logging that error. Now let's test whether it is working or not. You can see that it got deleted. The 12th item, it went inside it. And we can see that the endpoint is slash todos and slash IDs. Suppose if I wanted to delete this third number, it will be deleted. Yeah, that's it. This is basic CRUD operation. Thank you.